Hello, my name is Mira, and I am a content creator here on YouTube. I have today got a bunch of miniatures that I've recently got in the mail. Now, to be fair, this is from a Kickstarter project that was launched sometime in April of 2020, I believe the 14th of April. The product is the Blacklist Miniatures Fantasy Series 1 miniatures. I want to preface this by saying I'm not an official reviewer by any means whatsoever. In fact, rather the opposite. I am just somebody who really loves miniatures and I love painting miniatures. And I thought it would be fun to just open them up and see how it goes. So yes, let's get into them. Why not?
Okay, so are y'all ready for the worst unboxing known to mankind? Because that's what this is. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is horrible. I wish I could go back and do it again, but I cannot, so unfortunately we're stuck with this footage. So, I guess we just gotta, well, grin and bear it. So bear with me, I hope this video gets better. Do not judge it based on my plastic cutting skills, please. So here goes opening the boxes. Now, the first box I didn't get the best footage for, but I think for the second box, it's not the best footage, but it does give you an idea for just how many enemies that they have in here. And they really gave you a good variety. This is an amazing value deal that I got. I'm very happy with it. And now you can also take a look at all the different player characters that they have available for you to prime and paint. And I think it's just a really great selection for you. And here you can see some of the details on the models. So here in this recording, you can kind of see that I'm struggling a little bit with the airbrush. And this is very fair because it was my first time using an airbrush, and it was the first time that I realized that you could actually mix a paint to be too thin for an airbrush. I always heard about mixing them to be too thick, but never too thin. So this is my first time kind of realizing that and exploring that. There's a couple of videos from a couple of different content creators that I really enjoy and I really appreciate, and I think that you would enjoy them too. So I'll link those videos down below in the description. I think that one is very useful for learning how to clean and maintain an airbrush, and the other is very good for learning how to sort of figure out how an airbrush works and what sort of airbrush you're looking for if you're looking for miniatures yourself. So the next clip is really just me doing some touch-ups on the base, making certain that everything's lined and neat and tidy, or at least as neat and tidy as I want it to be for the next stage. So the next stage is me working on the whites, and this is me making the little high points such as the teeth that you see me going in for the first bit on, and it's also where I'm sort of figuring out where the lights I want to place will be. I had a lot of fun doing the teeth actually, I really enjoyed them, and I thought that once I started doing the teeth and adding the white paint, it really started to make the model sort of come to life. It was quite exciting to witness and watch actually. And as you can see with these back spikes, it's a little bit harder for me to get into those areas, but it does still help create the model and turn it into something that is actually recognizable. I find this part of the process is very exciting, and it gives me a lot of hope for seeing how the model is going to come together. So I pop a little bit of color in the mouth, but what I'm really focusing on here is working on the sort of the shading on the back, so in the darks, and trying to really clean up things and make it look more like a worm structure. So this entire time I've been using a set of army paints, and here I'm going in and darkening up the sort of the shadow areas to try and make it look a little bit more defined. It's not going to look neat, it's not going to look nice, but it is going to sort of bring it all together. And now I'm throwing on a little bit of the shade from Citadel Colors, the shade Carroburg Crimson, and I find that really helped for creating a dark that was also a nice red for the sort of fleshiness of the worm. And now I'm throwing on some highlights, so I'm doing a little bit of dry brush of just some plain white acrylic paint and just catching all the light areas. I think if anything I mixed a little bit of yellow into this just to kind of add a touch of almost sunlight to this. And so you can see I'm going back into the teeth and I'm highlighting them, I'm highlighting the spikes, brushing over everything that would be painted in sunlight. So the very first thing I did with this model was I covered it in another Citadel shade, and that was Drakenhof Nightshade, and I think that added a lot of sort of depth, a blue depth into the shadow areas of the model. And now I'm working on one of the transparent models. So I'm doing this slime and I'm doing a base coat of a sort of dark green, and I'm adding that into the highest points of the model. And this is sort of to create a sort of highlight that will be built upon later with different colors. And so after that, I slowly build upon that highlight until I eventually get to a white, and I think that it turns out to be a decently okay model. It looks better in person, it always looks better in person, but I think that for what it's worth, it's fairly decent. I'm not the best at painting translucent models, so this was definitely a bit of a challenge for me. And the skeleton is the model that I wish to apologize for. As you know, throughout this entire video, the footage has been shaky to say the least. The skeleton, though, was the one where this problem reared its head the most. The camera doesn't have an autofocus function, so unfortunately, a lot of the skeleton was out of focus when I was painting it. This means that most of the footage of the skeleton has been lost. So what you're seeing is chops of footage of what I could salvage, and the footage was meant to be to show you how the unprimed version of this model would work, and I think it worked quite well. It definitely, of course, paint was harder to stick on, but once it was on, it was pretty firmly on there. and I'm pretty happy with how the model looked when all the details out and done. I will say that I think that the models did come out very well considering what I was putting them through, because I am not an experienced miniature painter and I'm very new to this hobby. Certainly I have a few D&D models that I've painted before, and I would like to have a series where I go back in and I look at some of those models and I touch them up and make them look a little bit nicer. So if anybody would like to see a series of retouching D&D models that were painted previously, I would love to show you all videos of that. But until then, I'm afraid this is all I have to offer. So I hope you enjoyed looking at these paintings of these minis, and please stick around for the outro. My bad, my goodness. Stick around for the outro, and hopefully you'll enjoy this a bit more. And finally, here are the pictures that I have of the models. You can see a front view, a back view, and a top view, and that will hopefully give you a decent idea of what these miniatures sort of looked like when they were finished. I will admit they are not the best pictures that I've ever taken in my life. Actually, they're probably much better than most of the pictures I've taken in my life. But they are the pictures that I took, and I hope you really enjoyed looking at them and seeing how the primed, unprimed, and translucent models painted, and see how they turned out. Hi, this is Mira, or DaMRRM. I'm the person who's been painting these miniatures, and I'm also the person that you saw in the intro of this video. So, again, I do love painting miniatures, and the Blacklist Games Fantasy Series 1 miniatures are no exception. I really enjoyed them, and I had a lot of fun doing them. I think that they're fantastic, they're very detailed models, and they're very interesting takes on these popular D&D creatures that we all know so well and love dearly. I would say that I would recommend these for anybody who's interested in miniatures. Certainly they're probably at a decent price point, and, you know, they're fun. It's a great bang for your buck sort of deal. Oh, yes, I do have something that I want to talk about. Specifically, I want to talk about subscriptions, and I want to talk about future content. So I really enjoy painting miniatures, as I've said multiple times throughout this video. The next miniature I'm planning to paint is a plague drone, and that is from Warhammer 40k. I'm literally looking at the box just down over there. So, but I am really interested in seeing what you guys think of this new content and seeing where it takes us. I would really love for you to subscribe, and I would love to have you join along this journey. I know that I'm not the greatest at uploading content on a steady basis, and this is hopefully just the beginning of a longer series of painting miniatures, because I really enjoy it. Anyways, thank you so much for staying around, and I really do hope you have a good day. Goodbye.